and Learn for our Rental Assistance Grant Program. I'm Dr. Imani Brown, and I am the Director for the Social Equity Program for the Department of Cannabis Regulation, and I welcome you today. Next slide, please. Yes, so just to give you an overview of what we're going to discuss today, I'm going to introduce you to the Elevate Impact team. They are our administrator for this grant program. We're going to go over background and give you a little bit of an overview. We'll walk you through the grant application for Seed 1.0 and 2.0, the grant disbursement process, the funding process, and some dating tracking information. Next slide, please. Okay, so in April of 2021, this is just a little bit of background and context. The City of LA established the Social Equity Program and the SEED program for grants, and it was formerly known as the Financial Grant Program. During 2021, we gave out $6 million, and that was dispersed to 206 verified social equity individual applicants. In 2022, the City of LA, Department of Cannabis Regulation, we have established a SEED rental assistance grant program, and we plan to disperse $5 million in funding from the Cannabis Equity Grant for local jurisdictions. This SEED grant program is administered in partnership with the Elevate Impact team. Next slide, please. And to introduce you to the Elevate team, we have Paula Groves, who is the CEO, Chelsea Caldelaria, who is an underwriter, Kamal Mu, who is also an underwriter, Bruce Robinson, an underwriter, and Stacy Brennan, who is our customer relations specialist. Next slide. So the SEED Rental Assistance Grant Program. Now these are some of the criteria and uses of the funds. You can use the funds to pay for rent on a fully executed lease. You can use it to finance up to 1 month of back rent that's due on a fully executed lease. You can use the funds to secure a binding letter of intent by paying the required security deposit. You can also use the monies to assist with tenant build out and construction costs, as long as the estimates and or unpaid invoices total the grant amount and they're submitted with the grant application. Next. Now the SEED 1.0, we are making available $4 million, and this grant is eligible to folks who are in the Phase 3 Retail Round 1, and they are eligible for further processing and who have an executed lease or a binding letter of intent. This group of people will be able to get up to $50,000, which will be made available in 3 disbursements. The first disbursement will be $25,000, second disbursement $15,000, and the final disbursement $10,000. Next slide, please. See 2.0, $1 million will be made available, and folks who are verified social equity applicants who have an executed lease in all other license types, excluding Phase 3 Retail Round 1, and they will be eligible for a $10,000 disbursement. Next slide, please. There is an educational course requirement for this cycle. In order to apply for the rental assistance grant, the verified social equity applicant will be required to take 1 educational course and complete its respective quiz per each grant disbursement that you receive. Applicants can take courses via the Department of Cannabis Regulations Learning Management System, or LMS. Next slide. The first disbursement course requirement is called Commercial Leases and Contract Negotiations, Part 1 and 2. The second disbursement course requirement is called Business Planning and Operational Development. And the third disbursement course requirement is the applicant's choice, which must be selected from the LMS. Next slide. The ineligible uses for the grant include any unlicensed cannabis business. You are not allowed to buy inventory, which includes flower or any products, personal expenses, or the acquisition of any personal property such as cars or homes, etc. You are not permitted to do any relending or investing with this grant or engage in any prohibited operations. Next slide. Now, recipients must complete the educational course requirements and upload the receipt from the prior disbursement before receiving their next disbursement. See grant funds not dispersed or distributed by 90 days prior to the end of the city's CEG contract. This may be redistributed on a pro rata basis to eligible recipients who applied by March 30th of 2023. Applicants who receive funds under SEED 1.0 are not eligible for the 2.0, and applicants who receive the 2.0 are not eligible for the 1.0. Next slide. And with that, I will turn it over to Kamal Mu, who will take you through the funding process. Kamal?
Thank you, Dr. Brown. By way of introduction, Elevate Impact was launched in 2018 to implement the City of Oakland's Social Equity Loan Program, funded by city tax revenue. Since that time, we have expanded and now serve the City of Los Angeles, City of Oakland, and the County of Mendocino. We are deploying close to $20 million in loan and grant funds to social equity entrepreneurs throughout California. In total, we are a team of 11 individuals, including myself, with close to 300 years of aggregate experience working with social equity and cannabis entrepreneurs, as well as small businesses in California, the US, and internationally. We're excited to help LA roll out their Seed Rental Assistance Grant Program. All that being said, I would now like to walk you through the 6-step application process. Also, towards the end of this presentation, our team member, Noah Soche, will do a step-by-step demo of the actual application on the Elevate Impact LA website. Step 1, apply online. Applicants will be required to complete an online application. Paper applications will not be accepted. In addition, in order to verify an applicant is indeed a verified social equity individual, the applicant will need to input their ACA reference number issued by the City of Los Angeles into the application. We know that many of you are wondering how to locate your ACA reference number. There is a video tutorial on the LA Cannabis website and the video tutorials page, which will show you how to access your ACA reference number. The video is also available via Elevate's application. Next slide, please. Step 2, application review. Once an application has been received, Elevate Impact staff will review the application for completeness. If anything has been missed, the applicant will receive an email requesting the missing information. If an application is complete, it will then be assessed by the Elevate Impact Committee. The next few slides will walk through the assessment process. But note that if an applicant does not submit a completed application, they will be coached by the Elevate Impact team on how to improve the application and how it can be resubmitted. Next slide, please. Required documents. The documents that will be required are education course certificate for each disbursement, receipts for each prior disbursement, government ID, bank statement, completed W-9, budget, and construction estimates if applicable. These are the types of documents that are required by most traditional funding sources, such as banks or investors. Next slide, please. Step 3, grant approval. If after review by the Elevate Impact Grant Committee, an applicant passes the assessment process, an email is then sent to the applicant saying that they passed and have now become an approved applicant. Again, if they do not pass, the entrepreneur will be coached on how to improve their application so they can reapply. Next slide, please. Step 4, virtual signing. After approval, a grant agreement is created for that specific approved applicant, and the Elevate Impact staff will virtually meet with the applicant to review the documents and address any questions. The grant agreement will ask the approved applicant to confirm they understand the approved use of funds and to supply a non-binding budget outlining those expenses. After the approved applicant has reviewed and e-signed the documents, the City of LA will then electronically sign the documents. Next slide, please. Step 5, grant disbursement. Once all signatures have been gathered, the approved applicant will create an account at elevateimpactfunds.com where they will upload details for how they would like to receive the grant funds. Next slide, please. Step 6, post-grant data tracking. The state of California requires that we report on how entrepreneurs spend their grant funds. Therefore, grant recipients will be required to upload their receipts as evidence of grant expenditures. This is also an important coaching moment as it will allow the Elevate Impact team to review actual expenditures versus budgeted items, examine discrepancies, and what can be done with the approved management of the entrepreneur's business, to improve management of the entrepreneur's business. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Noah Soche, who is the Elevate Impact website technology developer, and he will walk us through the application process on the site.
Thanks, Kamal. I'm going to share my screen. So many of you may already be familiar with the two websites that we're going to look at today, but let's start at the Elevate Impact LA site. This is where you can find all the information about the programs that Kamal just outlined. We're going to quickly step through the pages of this site. Right here on the front page, you can find the Apply Now link. You can find a summary of how to apply, and you can also contact our team. Up in the top menu, if you click on Program Overview, you'll see a more detailed overview of the entire program. Under Grant Features, you'll find an overview of each of the two specific grant programs. Under Seed 1.0, an overview of the Seed 1.0 program, and under 2.0, an overview of the Seed 2.0 program. You can find Apply Now links on these pages and on all the other pages of the site. If you click on How to Apply, you'll see an in-depth overview of the application process. And under How to Apply, you can also find a page that details the application deadline. If you click Apply Now in the top right-hand corner of the site, or on many of the other pages of the site, it'll take us over to elevateimpactfunds.com. Because you've received grant funds through this program in the past, you've already got login credentials for this site. The login username is your email address. It's the same email address that was on your last grant agreement with the program. If you can't remember which email address this is, you can contact our team and we'll help you find it. If you can't remember your password, you're welcome to use the Lost Your Password link underneath the login button, and you'll be able to reset that password. So we'll log in as a test user. When you first log into the system, the first page that you'll see is My Account. On the left-hand side, you'll see a list of any grants that you've received through the program in the past. And on the right-hand side, you'll now see this new Applications area. When you first visit, there aren't any applications started, and so the only option here is to start a new application, and let's do that now. The first screen you'll see in the application process asks you which program you're applying for, Seed 1 or Seed 2. Make sure that you select the correct program, because down below you'll enter your ACELA number, your ACA number, and that number is our list of eligible ACA numbers for the specific program that you're applying for. It'll also ask you to let us know whether you have a lease or a binding letter of intent. And in fact, if you don't have a lease or binding letter of intent, you're not eligible for these programs. So you'll need to have a lease or binding letter of intent to continue an application. So enter your ACELA number here. And if you don't know how, like Kamal said, you can click here right on the link and it'll take you straight to those videos. You can watch the video to learn how to find your ACELA number. You'll also need to enter the email address that you used to sign up. The email address that we have on file. It's the same email address you used to log into this system. So then click Start Applying, and the system will set up a new application for you. The first screen you'll see is the application dashboard. This shows you all the sections that you'll need to work through to finish your application. So let's click into the first section. It's under Questions, it's Business Profile Questions. So in the business profile area, as in any area of the application, you'll see a thermometer here, this blue line, and it'll fill up as we continue answering questions. So you'll get a sense for how many more questions there are to complete in this section. Go ahead and fill out each of the fields of the application. On this test application, we'll just move through it quickly and click Save and Continue. When you click the Save and Continue button, it will save your progress. So at any point in the application, if you need to step away, if you need to close your browser window, you'll be able to come back here to elevateimpactfunds.com and log it into the system, and it'll have saved your progress, and you can continue right from where you are. The second question is about whether a preparer is helping you prepare this application. And if someone is helping you, then you'll need to check this box and you'll need to provide contact information for the preparer. Next question in the business profile is to provide entity information for the business that will benefit from the grant, including the name of the business, the DBA name if applicable, and the date that the entity was established. If you have a provisional or annual state license or an application for one, you'll check this box and you'll provide information about the license or the application for a license. We'll need to know what is your cannabis business type. The options are retail, delivery only retail, cultivator, distributor, and so forth. We'll need to know your business entity structure, like sole proprietor, LLC, S Corp, C Corp, and so forth. Each of these drop-down menus also has an option for other. So if you don't see an option that matches your business, go ahead and check other, and then an additional field will appear so you can let us know more specifically. You'll need a binding letter of intent or a lease. And so here you'll enter the information about that lease or binding letter of intent, including the lease term and the monthly lease payment. On the next screen, you'll need to let us know how much of the entity does the verified SEIA own. And the options are 100%, at least 51%, at least 33 1/3% to be eligible for the program. We'll need to know how many employees the entity has. And lastly, we'll need to know who you'd like the grant funds issued to. The grantee name will be the name that appears under the legal documents that you'll sign. And so you'll let us know if it's a business, an LLC, or a corporation, or if it's an individual. If the grantee name is an LLC, the SEIA must be a member of the LLC. If the grantee name is a corporation, the SEIA must be an owner of the corporation. And if it's an individual, then the individual must be the SEIA. So that's the business profile section. So you'll notice that once you finish a section of questions, it'll say done here next to the section. And so we'll just need to work through each of these sections to complete an application. The next section is state demographic questions. The state demographic questions are required by the state for us to collect. Each of these questions, if you're not comfortable answering, has an option of decline to state. So we'll ask a series of demographic questions. The first one is your age. The next one is your race or ethnicity. And you can, if there are check boxes instead of radio buttons or drop downs, then you're welcome to check more than one as necessary. We'll ask your gender. We'll ask your sexual orientation. We'll ask whether any of the owners of the business has a disability. We'll ask you to tell us your income level, your education level, whether any owners of the business or family members have any prior convictions, and whether you're serving in or have served in the military. That was the state demographic questions. Now we'll move on to the budget. So as Kamal said, you'll need to provide a non-binding budget for your application. This will tell us how you plan to use the funds. The way that you build your budget is once you're in the budget area here, you'll click Add Budget Category. And you'll fill out this short form. First, you select the category. There are lots of category options. The first one right at the top is rent, which will be what a lot of folks will be using. You'll type in the amount that you're planning to use for that category. You can give us a memo if you'd like. I'll say rent for 6 months. And if you would like to attach a document like an invoice or a receipt, you're welcome to do that here. And then you'll hit submit. and that'll add a line to your budget. And you can add as many lines as you need for each different, one line for each different category, until the total of your budget matches the total that you're applying for a grant. So in this program, we're applying for 50,000. Our total is 50,000 here in the budget. Heading back to the dashboard, you'll see now that our budget is done. Let's move over to the documents section. The first document is the identity verification. We'll need a copy of your ID. It'll need to be the ID for the verified equity applicant, the SEIA, showing that you're at least 21. It can be a driver's license, a passport, an identification card. The way that you upload files in our system is you click Select File. If you're working through this on a mobile device, you'll be able to take a picture of a document. Otherwise, you'll be able to open up a document on your computer, and you'll upload it here. Click Upload. Confirm that the correct name of the document appears here, and if it does, click Submit. You'll see that the document's been submitted. It's been attached to the application. It's ready for the underwriters to review the document. And after they do, this message will turn green if it's approved. If it's not approved, and there will be a note there about what needs to be changed. Let's head back to the dashboard. The second document section has 4 subsections. The first is the education certificate. So like Kamal mentioned, we'll need you to upload your certificate that shows that you've taken the appropriate courses in the City of LA's LMS. You can log into the LMS just by clicking on this link right here in this section. And let's go over there and take a look. So this takes us to the login screen. You can log in here with your credentials. And once you log in, you'll immediately see that down here in the bottom right-hand corner, under featured courses, these are all the courses that you might need to take for your application. Some of these are the required courses depending on what you're applying for, and others are the ones that, that you can choose. So this is the City of LA's LMS. Let's head back to the application. So here in the documents section, we'll go ahead and select a file, and we'll upload our certificate showing that we completed the course. And again, we'll hit Submit, and that'll attach the document to our application. Next section is the lease or binding LOI. Make sure to upload your lease or binding LOI and submit. We'll also need a copy of your bank statement. The bank statement needs to be from the account that you intend to use to receive your funds. So if your application is approved, we'll make an ACH transfer into the account. That needs to be the same account that's shown here on your bank statement. So upload your bank statement and submit. There's also occasional other questions in this section. If you're here, we're asking if your bank account is for a business or an individual. You can use either for this application. If you're using a business bank account, then there are a handful of additional questions. Under W-9, we'll need a copy of your W-9. You can download a blank W-9 here and fill it out. And then you'll upload it here, as well as answering a couple of questions to confirm that everything that you've entered on the W-9 is correct. The name on line 1 needs to match the name on your bank statement. The line 2 on the W-9 needs to be left blank. The address on line 5 needs to be the location where you'd like to receive your 1099 and legal notices. And the SEIA needs to sign and date the W-9. And then there's an optional last section. If you're using these funds for build out costs, then you'll need to upload build out cost estimates or unpaid invoices. And you can select the files here. You can upload them one at a time and submit them. And you can do that for as many files as you need to. So let's head back to the dashboard. Now our document sections are complete. And the last thing we need to do is the affidavit. If we click in here, you'll see a brief affidavit. Please read it closely. And then to sign, you'll enter your full name and the current date. And we'll save and continue. So once you've completed all of these sections, this here on the dashboard is now, it is no longer grayed out. So you can click the submit button. You'll get a quick confirmation to make sure you're really ready to submit. And then you'll submit the application all the way through to our team. So immediately you'll see the application's been received by the team. And if you close this window, Now you'll notice that the application is no longer editable and it's with the Elevate underwriting team. At this point, the team will look through all of your documents and the answers to all the questions and your budget. And if they need you to make any changes or they have any questions, they'll send the application back to you. You'll receive an email notification that they've sent it back. And you'll also, when you log into this system, you'll be able to make edits, and you'll also be able to see any notes that the underwriters have sent about why they sent it back. After you go back and forth with the underwriters as necessary and make any corrections that are needed, the application can be approved. And at that point, I'll go ahead and approve our test application here. At that point, when you visit your dashboard, let's see here. At that point, when you visit your dashboard, you'll see that your application has been approved and 2 additional steps will become available. First, you'll need to click into My Legal Docs. And here in this section, you'll see a draft of the legal document that you'll be signing, which is your draft grant agreement. And up here at the top, you'll need to sign up for a meeting with an Elevate team member who will walk you through this legal document before you sign. So go ahead and click the blue button and select a time that works for you on the resulting calendar. And then you'll be able to do a video call with our team member to finalize the legal documents. During that call or before, you can visit this page and you can read through the draft legal document, which is pre-filled with your information like your name and your Excel number and so forth. Down at the bottom, you'll also see that you can click through to read the standard provisions for city contracts. And you'll also see the document review consultation acknowledgement, which you'll need to sign after your meeting with your Elevate team member. Back up to the top, the next section that you'll need to complete in order to get your distribution is My Distribution. So if we click into that tab, we'll see that if you have a current distribution account, it'll display here. If not, there'll be a form here that you can use to enter your bank account number, your routing number, and the name on your account. This will be the account that we use to send the funds once the distribution is ready. It needs to be the same account that you uploaded a bank statement for earlier in the application. And so if you can't remember which account that was, you can click this link right here and you'll be able to download that bank statement that you uploaded before just to confirm that it's the same account. Once you enter a bank account here, we will send a micro deposit, a small deposit of a few cents to that account. You'll need to wait for that deposit, which can take between 1 and 5 business days. And then once you receive the deposit, you'll come back here and you'll enter the amount of the deposit just down here to confirm your micro deposit. After you've confirmed the micro deposit, you'll get another link for a calendar and you'll need to sign up for one more appointment with a member of the Elevate team who will ask you on a quick video call to hold up your bank statement and your ID, and they'll verify your ID with your face. And that's the last step before we can make a distribution. So that's the process for an Elevate application. We'll be happy to answer any questions a little bit later, but I'd like to pass it back to Dr. Brown.
Okay, thank you very much, Noah. Next slide, please. Okay, so at this point, we're going to open it up for Q&A, and Ethan, I would like you to lead that effort, and we'll just kind of go back and forth, whoever feels most comfortable answering the questions, if there are any, and we'll just take it from there, and we'll answer as many as time will allow.
All right, so we don't currently have any open questions. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to type them into the Q&A box and we will get them answered for you.
Well, that must be a good thing. We've done a great job if everything is self-explanatory and folks don't have any questions. But you can continue to go ahead and think about it. You can send us any questions you have through Elevate Impact and your underwriter. But we're really proud that this year we've been able to everything is basically electronic, and it's a lot more of a streamlined process than the grant process was last year. And a lot of the processes are automated. So I think it makes for an easier uploading of the application. Ethan, any other questions?
Yes, so we
Okay.
are starting to get some questions in. I'll take the one from the chat first from Timothy. He asked, if a lease is in the corporation's name, are we required to use that entity?
This is Paula. I'll unmute. I'm happy to answer that question. Can you guys see me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So no, the grant application does not have to be issued to the entity that the lease is issued to. However, we do have to prove that the social equity applicant owns the entity to which the lease is written. So typically we do that by obtaining an operating agreement, which shows the ownership interest of the business that the lease is written in the name of. So there's an additional verification step that is required. But yes, you could have the grant made out to the social equity applicant and then have the lease issued in the business name, as long as the social equity applicant owns at least 33% of the business. Next
All right.
question. Mhm.
Thank you. I'll take another one from the chat as well, and then we'll go to the Q&A box. So Christian is asking, if someone gets awarded a lottery license slot, let's say sometime in December 2022, then in January 2023, they receive a letter of intent, will they be eligible to apply for Seed 1.0 or Seed 2.0?
Yes, the application deadline for the Seed Rental Assistance Grant does not close until March of 2023. So as long as you submit your application before that closing deadline, you should be fine.
If there are money still available.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Okay, so now I'll go to the Q&A box. First question is from David. I saw you type in the chat as well. I did go ahead and send you a direct chat. If you're having issues logging into elevateimpactfunds.com, please reach out to Stacy. I can put her email in the chat for everyone as well. And she should be able to help you get logged in. So the next question is from Michael.
May I speak to that?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Ethan. I didn't mean to interrupt. If people are having trouble finding their ACA number, or you can't remember what email address you used to set up your Elevate account, you can email Stacy, but you can also look at your grant document from last year. Now, if you can't find that, we'd be happy to resend it to you. But in your grant document, on the second to the last page, it lists out your email address. And then on the front page of the grant document, the first page, it lists your ACA number. So that's another place that you can go to get that information so that you can log in. But if you're having problems, please feel free to email us directly and we can help. Thank you.
Okay, next question we have is from Michael. He says, how do we find banking?
Yeah, that's a really hard question. You can maybe email us directly to have a sideline conversation about some banks that people have used in other jurisdictions. We might be able to make referrals. Also, it's dependent upon if you're trying to do an individual account versus a business account. Sometimes the business account is harder to set up, but we can definitely work with you directly to maybe make some referrals in terms of banks that other applicants have used. So definitely send us an email with your name and banking information in the subject line. And just in general, whenever you guys email us at Elevate Impact, if you put your name in the subject line, it really helps us be more responsive, because we know it provides us, the context of who we are addressing, and it just moves the process along more quickly. So I'll just give you that as a little tip.
Great, thank you, Paula. And then I have two questions from Archer. They're pretty much related, so I'll ask them together. So he says, I submitted the app last night, but couldn't get into the LMS site. Can I take the course and upload the certification today? And his follow-up question was, or should he wait until the underwriter gets back to him first?
I would go ahead and take the course and get the certificate. And then when the certificate is available, we will work with you. The problem is we can't have the applicant and the underwriter in the application at the same time because it creates technology issues. So get your certificate and then wait to hear from the underwriter, and they will reach out to you to request that you upload the certificate and then upload it at that time. I wouldn't wait until you hear from the underwriter before taking the course, because there's no need to wait. You can go ahead and get that handled, and then when the underwriter asks you for it, you will have the certificate ready. So wait to hear from the underwriter though before you upload it.
So Paula, is that across the board? People just can't take the course and upload the certificate? They have to wait for the underwriter to instruct them to do so?
No, no,
Upload it into documents.
no, that's actually not correct, Dr. Brown. I may have misunderstood the question, but I think this is a situation where the person has already submitted their application. But
Okay.
if somebody has not already submitted their application, they absolutely can upload the certificate as they are completing the application, which is how the process was
Yes,
intended.
okay, thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
Okay, we have another question. They're asking, as far as the banking sections go of the application, how could you possibly use a business account if you have to show your identity with the bank statement?
How could you possibly? So the way the process works is during the application process, you upload your bank statement. If you would like to use a business, if you'd like the grant dispersed to a business, you would upload the bank statement from the business. The bank statement should have the business name on it as well as the bank number, account number. And then you also have to upload, we will request a operating agreement that shows that the social equity individual applicant is an owner of the business and owns at least 33%. You would upload that as well. And then you would upload a government ID of the picture of the social equity individual applicant. So you upload all of those during the application process. Once your application has been approved, you will then be required to enter the banking information into our disbursement platform. So you will have a second step where you will set up your banking information, your banking account, and then you will receive a micro deposit confirming that account. And then the third step is to verify that the social equity applicant is actually an owner of the business account that you set up. And that's the final step. And that's where you show your ID, you show your bank statement, and then Stacy, who does the identity verifications, will double check on our end that it matches what you previously uploaded in the application process. I hope that helps. The order of the steps is what keeps everything sort of in sync with each other. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Paula. I think you kind of touched on this a little bit, but the next question is saying, can someone please list what is required of the social equity applicant during the virtual meeting?
Sure. So the virtual meeting, well, there's actually two meetings that take place. After you've been approved, you have to go through the legal documentation process. So the legal documentation process, you will be provided a draft of your legal agreement. Then you will schedule a call with our legal counsel, who is Kamal Mu. He will meet with you virtually online and go through the legal document with you so that you understand your legal requirements and obligations. Once that's completed, and once that once Kamal receives from you or tells us that you have indeed completed that legal document review, you then will receive a DocuSign electronically, which That happens in a separate email, and that will allow you to sign your document. The document is also signed by the executive director of the Department of Cannabis Regulation, and it's also signed by the city attorney. So once all parties have signed the document and it's been confirmed in our system, you will then schedule a identity verification phone call, which is also a virtual Zoom call, where we will match your identity with your bank statement with the grantee on the legal agreement. So we need to make sure that all of those things line up. And then once that's been confirmed, and the reason we have this final verification step is we really want to make sure that the funds go to the correct person, right? We don't want to make a mistake and send the funds to the wrong person. So that's why we have that final identity verification where you will be showing your face, you'll be showing your government ID, and you'll be showing your bank statement. I hope that helps. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Okay, so the last question I see so far. Is there any reason why we should be worried about funds being at risk of running out prior to the deadline date?
Well, that's an issue of supply and demand, right? I think that I wouldn't wait. I would get my application completed as soon as possible so that you are not in danger. But, as in any capital allocation process, as we get closer to that final deadline of March, there's a high chance that we will begin to come to the end of the amount of capital that we can provide through this program. So I can't guarantee that the funds will not run out. Depending on how many people apply and how quickly people apply, that will give us a better indication of how quickly funds might run out. But, don't wait. I would, try to get the application in as quickly as possible so that you're not in danger of not receiving any funding. Thank you.
All right, and that concludes the open questions we have so far. We still have some time left today, folks. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the Q&A box or type them into the chat. And the DCR SEP team or the team at Elevate, we will do our best to answer all these questions. So,
Ethan, there are a number of questions in the webinar chat. Did you want to hit any of those?
I hit Timothy and Christian. I don't see any additional ones unless I'm missing something.
Maybe I can. So if you go to the very top, I don't know if maybe it would be helpful if I read them and then we can try to address them.
Yes.
I'll start with the first one. I don't know if you can see it on your screen. Why are newly verified SEIAs who were verified during the years 25-22 through July 26-22 verification period not eligible for the $50,000 Seed 1.0 grant? Why is the Seed 1.0 grant only available to P2R1 when newly verified SEIAs are also going to be applying for the retail and PR3R2? Both groups should be eligible for $50,000.
Yeah, we got that question in the Q&A box, and I did go ahead and answer it written out. But just for the people who are curious, the grant application period ends, the filing period ends in March 2023, as we've stated prior. And in order to be eligible for the grant, your application must have been deemed eligible for further processing, and you must have a lease or binding letter of intent. In the department, we still don't have a set date for the Phase 3 Retail Round 2 lottery. The registration is opening soon, but we don't have a set date on when the actual lottery will take place. So therefore, we can't give you an accurate time on when you would potentially be eligible. Even if the lottery did take place in December, the likelihood of an applicant reaching eligible for further processing in the licensing process, and having a lease or binding letter of intent before the March 2023 deadline is very unlikely. I mean, it's not necessarily impossible, but just unlikely. So, I mean, if by all intents and purposes you are able to get all your ducks in a row, you have a location and you're able to meet those licensing milestones, then you would be eligible to apply. But it is probably unlikely that the phase 3 retail round 2 lottery participants will have everything they need before that March 2023 deadline.
Can I add to that as well? Each year, the cannabis equity grants for local jurisdiction is available on a competitive basis. And so we will be applying for the 2023. And the way the funds have been allocated, we should be receiving funds in April. At that time, we will decide and hopefully be able to extend the seed grant program perhaps to our phase 3 retail round 2 folks. So I think there's going to be an opportunity for this group of applicants and licensees to be able to participate in the next cycle of the CEG grant. And I think I did, I wrote that and put it in writing because when someone asked that question too.
Thank you for taking that live, because I think that question, a lot of people probably have that question. And I think the response only went to the person who asked the question, but everybody didn't see the response. So thank you for addressing that. I was just trying to see if there are any other questions that
we have one coming through the Q&A. So they're saying, are funds only for rent, or can we use monies in other areas?
This particular grant is the Seed Rental Assistance Grant. So therefore, the money can either be used for rent, or it can be used for build out costs to bring your space into compliance. Those are the two categories that you can use the funding for with this grant. And they would have to be specified on your budget. If you use the money for build out costs, we are requesting that you upload an estimate or an invoice associated with that budget line item so that we can see how the money will be spent. Thank you.
All right. Someone asked, where can the links for the courses be found on DCR's website? I'll post the link to the LMS in the chat for everyone, and I'll also respond directly to this person as well. But if anyone else has any additional questions, please feel free to post them in the Q&A or in the chat. But currently we don't have any outstanding questions.
Well, okay. All righty then. So I want to thank everybody. Let's go to the next slide, please, Mario. These are some important dates that we wanted to share with you. As you all know, that the grant was launched on September 30th. Our first webinar was on October 7th. The second one is today, the 20th, and that the deadline for the application is March 30th. We're going to try to be nimble here and see what kind of feedback we get. If folks still want to have an additional lunch and learn, we're open for that. And we're, that may or may not be required or needed, but there may be some additional lunch and learns. So, stay tuned, folks, and we'll, let you know if there's going to be another scheduled lunch and learn. Please check your texts, and we will e-blast and let folks know if there's going to be another lunch and learn. Next slide, please. And these are the contact information for Paula Groves, Kamal Mu, and Stacy Brennan at Elevate Impact LA. Good luck to everybody, and thank you so much for your time today. I want to thank my team and the Elevate Impact team. Thank you all for your work and your commitment, and we look forward to serving you as we move forward. So good luck to everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.